Okay, inside carpenter, he's got this fence wing. It's really neat. I'm working on it. So I'm trying to copy his design and improve upon it, and they got the fast cap stop, and I'm trying to come up with something homemade just as good. So this is my idea, a brass hinge. Here's the back of the fence right here. So I'm going to rig up some kind of clamp that would actually clamp this so you don't have any T-track. Maybe make a permanent bracket that's attached to the hinge so it just slides up the back of this. And you lock it down with the thumb screw or something. And then the problem is with a hinge, as the hinge pivots, a normal hinge with 4 tabs on it, you can't really tighten it up to get it to where it's going to float or stay up like the inside carpenter has it. And like he said, the stoppy design, it's important to have it laying flat and then also raise it up. So what I was going to do, take the pin out, and I was going to shorten the hinge. I was going to make a cut right here, and I was going to cut this part of the hinge off. So in effect, when I run a bolt through there instead of a pin, I can actually put a nut that's a nylon insert, like a lock nut, and I can tighten this hinge up so these tabs have pressure on each other. And that way I can adjust the tension on this hinge so it'll stay up. So that's my solution there. So like I said, back here it'll be like this with a clamp right across the back of the fence. The actual part of the fence or stop block would probably be 3/4 extend out. So it'll pivot like this. And I was going to utilize his design to where he's got the double stop block. He's got the long piece that slides in and out, so you can get 2 measurements off of 1 block. And the other thing, if I can find it here, I just dropped it. Okay. So here's an old drafting square. I used to draw up a lot of drawings and stuff and model airplanes. So what I'd done is taken this drafting square and I just scribed lines perpendicular to this edge. I think I did 2 of them here just to double check the accuracy. I flipped the square one way and the other to see if these came out parallel. So in that 3/4 inch plywood plate that comes out, the actual reading you'll get off the plexiglass on the tape measure is from these scribe lines. And if you put the scribe line on the bottom where it's against the tape, and that way you get rid of the parallax. So in effect, I'm just taking Lexan, scribing a 90 on it, inserting it on the block, stop block, where it rides over the tape measure. And of course, it's pretty self-explanatory there. So just get a scrap of Lexan, or heck, using one of these drafting squares, and cut a chunk out. And you can take ink. Once you scribe that with an X-Acto, you flip it over backwards so you're not cutting. You sort of scribe it, you scratch it. So it's a really fine line. Then you can fill it with ink, red or black, and you can wipe the rest off, and that leaves you a line that's a little bit easier to see. It's like a hairline. So that's what I'm going to come up with. No T-track, an old hinge that came off the front door. You could probably just use clamps if you wanted. You wouldn't have to make anything permanent. But if this flips up and there's a bracket that goes around to the back, you should be able to lift this off. Drop it down, tighten the thumb screw, flip your stop down, and built into that stop would be the Insider Carpentry double stop.